bawala die die, badaya, badaya, bawala die die, ay ay, badaya, bawala die die, bada da 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 wala die die, ay ay, badaya, bawala die die, badaya, badaya, bawala die die, badaya, badaya, bawala die die, bada da 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 wala die.
What are the Daniel, what are the dang, hang on, Daniel, what are the dang. Yes, my name Blakk Rasta. And of course, this is the Black Pot, aka Kuku Show, where we speak truth to power. And it's brought to you by the kind courtesy of Mark Bansi. Oh my God. Seeking to retell the African story using perfumes. Hear me now. Now, in this segment, we normally do not criticize, but if we must criticize, we will not shy away from that. We will criticize on one condition: to build and not to destroy. My brother, my sister, hey, this is from the newsreel where we keep it real. It is all about our people, our continent, our land. My brother, my sister. Now I am reading the very first story from Graphic Online, and it says, I will appoint less than 60 ministers who will not be entitled to ex gratia. My God have mercy. And this is Mahama speaking. For some time now, Mahama has been speaking. He spoke again yesterday, and we carried it live on this show. My brother, my sister, I read, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has declared that if he emerges victorious in the 2024 elections, his appointed ministers and officials will no longer receive ex gratia payments. In his acceptance speech following his election as the NDC flag bearer on Monday, May 15, 2023, the former president highlighted his determination to avoid repeating the mistakes of the current NPP government. He expressed his commitment to maintaining a lean government structure, unlike his predecessors. Now, addressing an audience at the University for Development Studies in Tabale, Mr. Mahama outlined his plan to appoint fewer than 60 ministers in his future administration with the aim of safeguarding public funds. Our nation is currently facing significant challenges, burdened with crippling debt and an inefficient, wasteful government. We cannot continue on this path. It will be a betrayal of the people for a leader to persist in the same ineffective practices that leave them poorer, he asserted. He further pledged, I am dedicated to establishing an efficient government with no more than 60 ministers. These ministers and other government appointees will voluntarily relinquish their entitlement to ex gratia payments upon the completion of their tenure, even before the necessary constitutional amendments, including a review of the contentious Article 71. I am overly impressed. I like this. I truly love this. And I want to applaud former President Mahama. This is what we expect to hear from a leader. At least we know that you know the right thing. Now, when you come in and you don't do the right thing, then we know you know the right thing, but you have refused to do the right thing. I want to applaud former President Mahama again. Now the whole nation is in desperation. Everybody is totally confused. People have become poorer. Now it is only in Ghana that only poor people are in jail. But the massive rich class that is always stealing from the poor man and impoverishing the poor man will continue to walk around and perambulate in peace and harmony. My brother, my sister, former President Mahama has made it very clear that, hey, listen, when I become president again, I am going to reduce the number of government appointees as ministers to 60. That is almost like halving the number that we have right now. But I would like to ask a question. Mr. Mahama, we have seen a lot of politicians come into power. And when they say, oh, we're going to reduce the number, of course, one ministerial position is still counted as one, even if it has 20 other deputies. Is that the kind of lean government you're thinking about? Now, yes, you have 60 ministerial appointments, right? But if we have 20 deputies under each one of them, we still have the same 60. But the deputies might outnumber all these things that we are trying to run away from, a huge government size, and so on and so forth. Now let us make this very clear to everybody to understand. This thing that ex-President Mahama has said is very clean and very nice. He is saying that even before we amend the constitution, he is going to appoint ministers who willingly will say that we are not taking ex gratia. We voluntarily want to relinquish that because we have an impoverished nation. Remember, I'm choosing my words very, very well. Our nation is not poor. Our nation is impoverished. Our nation has been taken over by charlatans. People who have no respect for the decency of culture, decency of our ancestors, and decency of nationalism and patriotism. My brother, my sister, former President Mahama has made it clear that this contentious Article 17, aka ex gratia, will be a thing of the past. I trust him. I believe that the president will certainly deal with this. But my biggest problem is not the 60 that he mentioned. How many deputies are you going to have each under every ministry? My brother, my sister, again, I would like to applaud the former president. Now we have an arrogant president who is refusing to reduce the size of the government. Even the German ambassador spoke to him bluntly, in fact, so disrespectfully. He told him that, listen, Mr. President, if you truly want me to go speak to China to help you out of the doldrums, you must reduce the size of your government. Even in Germany, where we have it all, we don't have this large size of government, but it all fell on deaf ears. We have a super arrogant president, a president who has no respect for the people that is ruling, and we can't wait to kick this president out. Now, Mr. Mahama, you might know that you are not the best candidate for 2024. But as it stands right now, Nana Akufo-Addo has made you the best. I believe that we still have citizens who could do better than both Nana Akufo-Addo and, of course, the former president, John Dramani Mahama. But as it stands right now, all those we are seeing in the race, Mahama is the brightest face. My brother, my sister, I hope this humbles you, Mr. Mahama. It's almost like in a beauty contest where somebody comes out as the most beautiful in the world. Certainly you know you are not the most beautiful woman in the world, but grace has located you. Oh, chance has located you. Oh, some kind of blessing has located you. Let this humble you enough to say, yes, I am not the best man in the world. I am not the best woman in the world. But as it stands right now, grace has located me. May I use this grace to be able to deal with the people correctly. So at the end of it all, they will be counting my legacies. Our politicians do not care about legacies. They care about eating right now. Didi Preku. They don't think about Didi Da. Think about it, my brother, my sister. To former President Mahama again, I want to say thank you so much. Still about Mahama, I'm reading this from Ghana Web, and it says, did Mahama pay my school fees or give birth to me? Koku Anyidoho slams supporters for attacking him. Now, former Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Koku Anyidoho, has criticized the supporters of former President John Dramani Mahama for attacking him due to his decision not to support Mahama's presidential bid. Koku Anyidoho claims that he has decided to back Dr. Dufo because of the way Mahama treated the late President John Evans at Mills after his untimely death. And the whole family stated that he could not lend his support to a candidate who failed to honor the late president, emphasizing the principled stance against Mahama. President Mills died, and you refused to build Asumdue Park. And I have taken a principal position that because you refuse to build Asumdue Park, I will not support you. Is that my crime? He said, you have done nothing to honor the memory of President Mills. Is that my crime not to support John Dramani Mahama? Did Mahama pay my school fees, or did he give birth to me? Hear me now, brethren. I think that Koku Anyidoho is truly a very bitter person, and this bitterness can kill a man. I love Koku Anyidoho, but my brother, you are getting overly bitter. Let me give you the legend of the fish. You see that the fish is the master of the ocean. The fish can swim and control the whole ocean. Yet, what kills the fish is the same water that it controls around it. What point is Blakk Rasta making? The bitterness that you have surrounded yourself with, my brother, be very careful that it does not poison you and kill you. Bitterness is a heavy burden. The best way to run away from this burden is to shed off the bitterness. This is just a brotherly piece of suggestion. I won't even dare call it advice to you. Hear me now, Mr. Anyidoho. You were the same person who was saying that Mahama was in water, a huge lead during the last elections, that he failed to grab the presidency. At that time, did you not know that he had not built the Asumdue Park? In the last elections that Mahama lost, you were the same person who said Mahama was in a comfortable lead. At that time, Mahama had not built the Asumdue Park. That was the last time he ever was president. When did this bitterness about building the Asumdue Park start? Or were you expecting Mahama to come out of opposition and build the Asumdue Park? Can you make it clear? So for you, building the Asumdue Park is enough for you to give your support to any urchin and any charlatan? I am so shocked. Mr. Anyidoho, I know that your bitterness transcends this Asumdue Park. But me, I see what other people cannot see. I am somebody who has spiritual eyes. At the end of the day, you and Mahama are going to reunite. If you would listen to my words, I beg you, please, if you want to criticize, criticize objectively and not out of bitterness. I love you, and you know I love you. This bitterness is becoming shameful. Listen, even if you and Dufour and Roger Metel Nunu had come together to compile the list of voters at the primaries, Dufour would have still lost. I am saying, even if Dufour himself and his family had constructed and modeled and invented the register for the NDC primaries, Dufour would have still failed. He would have lost. People have come to love the ex-president Mahama, especially that Nana Akufo-Addo has made it so terrible for Ghanaians. So all I can say, my brother, my sister, is good to criticize, but criticize objectively and criticize in order to build and not to destroy. I love you, and when I meet you, I'm going to argue, and I'm going to repeat the same things to you. Bitterness is a poison that kills faster than any other poison you can think about, not even cyanide. Now I'm going to venture into a very thorny situation. I'm going to venture into a controversial thing, and this I'm reading from my Joy Online. It says, Asantehene leads discussions with British Museum over regalia taken from Ashantis. I read it. It says, the Asantehene Osei Tutu the second last Thursday held discussions with the leadership of the British Museum about regalia, items taken from the Ashanti, particularly after the Battle of Amuaful or the Ashanti War of 1874 with the British. As part of his working visit to London, he also requested areas of contemporary cultural cooperation in the management and technical assistance with the Manchia Palace Museum. I'm going to take that paragraph again. As part of his working visit to London, he also requested areas of contemporary cultural cooperation in the management and technical assistance with the Manchia Palace Museum. And when you look at that photograph, producer, put up that photograph. I would like to see that photograph. The photograph of Asantehene in a discussion with the British Museum. People, you see Asantehene clothed in coat and tie, just like the rest of the British people. And you wonder which one of them is Asantehene, because all of them are in suit. I do not know what sickness it is with our kings and chiefs. Remember that you are a traditional entity. You are there because of tradition, customs. You are there because of our ancestors' heritage. Under no circumstances should you be dressed like a rapist who came all the way into our country several years ago and raped our land and took away all our treasures. Whenever I see a man in coat and tie, it reminds me of rapists. Whenever I see a man wearing coat and tie, it reminds me of the man who came in and stole from us. This is the photograph. Watch it. How can Asantehene be dressed like this? What's wrong with us? And look at the other man sitting by Asantehene. You could just see that he looks like somebody who's just been dropped from Venus. Very uncomfortable in this kind of thing. What's wrong with us? Does Asantehene understand that he's in there because of a traditional kind of thing? Why would you want to wear suit? If you want to wear suit, then you must relinquish your position as Asantehene. Did you ever see Osei Tutu the first wear suit? Did you see Okonfo Anochi wear suit? You think Okonfo Anochi would go into a meeting in England and wear suit? Do you think that Prempeh the First, before he went to Seychelles and was camped right there in Mahi, would you ever have seen him in suit? No fetish priest west in salt, my brother, my sister, would ever wear suit. My brother, my sister, apart from slapping the money out of our pockets, slapping the money out of the pockets of the indigenous clothing that we have here, we are also slapping the money out of our tailor's pockets, and so on and so forth. My brother, my sister, just a couple of days ago, I was praising Asantehene for appearing at the coronation of Charles III in total suit. My brother, my sister, look at it. How can you compare this wonderful regalia to suit and tie, which is only befitting of the rapist white man who came into our country and sodomized our mothers and so on and so forth? That was how they dressed. For me, if I see a man in suit, you are an endorsement of colonial power and legacy. Now let me leave this here and look at the other thing. Look at the regalia. My brother, look at what the Asantehene is wearing here. So beautiful and so nice. Immaculately powerful. Culturally indigenous. Oh, look at the richness in our culture. Then you will go and demean yourself and wear coat and tie, all because you are meeting white people. Oh, what a shame. Oh, what a shame. Oh, what a shame. Listen, our chiefs and our kings, if you are not ready to dress traditional every time, please relinquish the seat. Relinquish it. The other day, Gamancha was begging to go for a ceremony. I'm sure he was going to wear a suit and attend that thing. Hey, listen, if you are not ready, my brother, my sister, to push our culture, listen, every other person can decide to wear a suit. They can even decide to walk naked. But you have no right to ever dress like the colonialists. No way. May I also ask, Asante is in England and is looking for regalia that the white man stole from us during our wars, right? May I know when the Asante is going to return the head of Sir Charles McCarthy to the British people? Can I know? Please put the photograph of Sir Charles McCarthy there. Sir Charles McCarthy. McCarthy is spelled M-C-C-A-R-T-H-Y. Sir Charles McCarthy. Put out his photograph here. Listen, Sir Charles McCarthy was that governor who was killed by the Ashantis, and of course they cut off his head and took it all the way to Kumasi. Is the Ashanti king ready to give back the head of Sir Charles McCarthy to the British people? Africans are so interested in getting what the white man took away from us. Can we return his suits to him? Look at Sir Charles McCarthy and look at the skull. He's been at the Ashanti Palace all this while. I hear they are drinking pito from out of it. I don't know if the Ashanti Kingdom drinks pito, but that's what I hear. Maybe ensafufu. But whatever it is, my brother, my sister, are they going to return the head of Sir Charles McCarthy to the British, like they returned the head to the Nzima people recently? I leave it here. To God be the glory. Mawena, how are you doing this afternoon? Everything good with you?
Yes, I am.
So the Ashanti king is asking for regalia that the British took from us during the wars in the 1800s and so on.